Hi, and welcome to the lecture on smoothing groups. You might be wondering what smoothing groups are. So now I'm going to show you exactly what they are. So if I create a sphere, because that's a really good example. So here we have our sphere, and you can see the surface of this sphere is completely smooth. You can see it's polygonal because you can see the edges. If I go and modify, because this is still a primitive, and remember we did primitives, so I can change the amount of segments in my. So no matter how much I change it, it stays relatively smooth. Apart from the obvious edges, it's quite smooth still. Let's just take it back up to 32. If we put our edges on, we can see it's polygonal. Change it to poly. Okay, so what is a smoothing group? So smoothing groups, let's remove the smoothing groups from this object first, and you can see the effect of applying a smoothing group. So if I select all my faces, all my polygons, like so, and remove clear all down here, you can see polygon smoothing group under, sorry, jumping ahead now. So under your polygons, edit mode, selection, under selection, polygons, scroll down to the bottom and click clear all. You can see, let's take off edges. There are no smoothing groups on this object, and this look is actually becoming a bit of a trend, polygon mode, and that's all it is really. They're taking off all the smoothing groups from their objects and rendering it like this, because smoothing groups do go through to Unity, so it's important you set them up. If you don't want any, just delete them or remove them, clear them I should say. But if you do, obviously most people do, if you're not after that very distinct polygonal look, then you will want smoothing groups. Okay, so I'll show you how they work. So basically, over in your modifier list here, you might not have it, but click on edit normals and you'll see the vectors from each vertex. And you can see, if you look at one, each vertex has a vector for each face. So this one here will be for that face, this one here will be for that face, this one here will be for that face, and that one for that one. It's basically information to tell the renderer how to smooth the surface between the edges of each polygon. I'm trying to explain this in the most simplest form I possibly can, and you can see there is no smoothing groups on any of them. They've all got 4 vectors coming off each vertex. However, if I do this, so if I just collapse my stack, select normal polygon, if I select a bunch of them like this, if I go back down to my smoothing groups and I auto smooth that, and it's using this angle here to auto smooth, and what that angle is, any angle 45 degrees or less will be smoothed together, and I'll show you what I mean. You can see, that is definitely less than 45 degrees angle there, so you can see this patch is now really smooth. So if I switch on my normals again, you can see that vertex has only got one vector coming off it, and that's because it's sharing it between all of these polygons. Same with that one, same with that one, and that one. The ones on the edges will have 3, and the rest still have 4. It's because I've told this patch of polygons to render smoothly and to share the same smoothing group between all of those polygons, and that's the effect it has. It basically renders the surface smooth of the selected patch or the selected group of polygons, which is also determined by the angle here, this angle here. So that's smoothing groups effectively, and you can have multiple smoothing groups up to, I think it's about 32 in each object, although you probably won't use all those. And I'll show you an example of why or how we would use different smoothing groups. So if we collapse everything here, let's just smooth it all into one group. Auto smooth all the vector normal angles coming off each of these is certainly less than 45 degrees, so 45 is plenty, although you can increase this number. Okay, so right, if I go to my left view, just turn on my edges, go back up, let's make sure polygon mode is selected. If I select the top, for example, and I extrude that out, or if I extrude that in, we've got a bit of a Death Star effect going on. Scale that in. There we go. Let's turn off my edges. There we go. Okay, so now you can see if I smooth this whole object now as one, it doesn't work because that angle there is more than 45 degrees. Okay, so what you need to do in this instance is, let's change that to 90, that will work. If all polygons on this object shared the same smoothing group, you can see the effect it has. It tries to smooth it all out and make it look soft, and you might not want to do that. You might want this ring of faces here to be separate, so you can select that loop of faces. Make sure you deselect anything else. I've got scale on now, turn that off. Okay, so with my ring of faces selected, come down here. Turn that back to 45 because 45 is generally pretty good. And let's click on number 2, turn that off. So this ring has a smoothing group number 2, and the rest of it has smoothing group number 1. So what that does is it calculates the lighting for each of the faces differently for each group, and you get this effect. And that will get taken through to Unity. So like I said before, it's important you set them all up as you want them. And there we go, that's essentially smoothing groups. Have a look at our normals. You can see each one of these vectors, each one of these, this join here and this join here has its own vector, and same with that edge too, and it's because different smoothing groups. I hope that's clear. It's a lot to get your head around, but essentially smoothing groups determine how light is calculated on the surface of the model. I hope that's clear. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next lecture.